I'm sorry. There we have sound. Does everybody hear me now? I don't know why they killed my sound when I came on. Does everybody hear me now? Highway Runner just gave us a thumbs up. Barb, Demon Cat, thank you guys so much. Aubrey, yes, I'm here. I'm hoping my buddy Don Patoka and the other mods will be coming back. I'm going to see if I can find them right now. Those of you who are my mods can go over to Facebook. I can't even get on Facebook right now because it says I have an old password, which is garbage. I did not enter an old password, but this happens more times than not with Facebook saying, oh, you don't have a password here, so you can't get in. So I can't get in to Messenger or anybody else right now here. Let me try something else here. Roxy, please notify Dawn and the other mods that we're back here live on the air. I would greatly appreciate it. Roxy's one of our mods. She's here too. I just made Roxy a mod for some reason. I don't remember why, but she left our moderators here, and we've got her back. She asked me to come bring her a moderator back, and so we have. Okay. Sleeping Volcano, also, if you could go over to Messenger and make sure that everybody there, Dawn and others that are there, make sure everybody comes back. We'd appreciate it. Okay. For those of you that are wondering what we're talking about, over on Messenger, we have disaster groups, earthquakes and volcanoes. We've got weather and space weather. We have politics. We have personal chat there. We've got we got a chat room. It's called Donnie's Den that Don Patoka has put up. And so there are various chat rooms we have. And you're welcome to come over there and take part in those chats. We'd love to have you. Also on Facebook, we have a disaster group. We have a disaster group. Go over and take part in that and become a member of the disaster group there. We put a lot of information in there about earthquakes and volcanoes, about disasters that are happening around the world. Larry Smith, who monitors all the earthquakes worldwide, has a earthquake chat in our disaster group online and Facebook, and MeWe as well. We have several disaster groups on MeWe. You're welcome to go in there. I post all of our programs on Facebook. I post them on MeWe. I post them on Instagram. I post them on Parler. I post them on our Discord channel as well. I make sure all of that gets done. I post them over on our Emergency Management Associates Christian message thread on Telegram as well. So there's a lot of places you can find us. We appreciate that. I hope we get as many thumbs up as we had. I think we had like 60 plus thumbs up before we got cut off. I'm sorry we got cut off, guys. That does happen occasionally. Okay? There's no telling how that happens, but when it does, I just get ticked off. It's sad. It really is. It's sad. I don't understand it. I think it's ridiculous. It's crazy. It's literal insanity. Okay? We have a lot of people that monitor this channel, whether they come on the chat or not. But for us to get cut off like that, this is about the second or third time we've been knocked off the air before. This is crazy. It's insane. I find it abhorrent, in fact. Okay? I find it abhorrent that it happens. For whatever, we got knocked off. But anyway, we were talking about emergencies and disasters when we got knocked off. I want to go back to that conversation now. There's a reason, okay, that we're going through what we're going through. It's almost ridiculous anymore. I think of so many reasons that people are hurt when a disaster or an emergency happens. There's so many reasons. But over the years, and I've been compiling information for a lot of years, back in the day when we had those floppy disks, I had them on floppy disks. We don't have floppy disks for our computers now, but I have put them on a drive, and I've been able to transport a lot of this material that I've compiled over the years to the computer I have now. So we can get access to you and get this information out. A lot of it is also over on a website. For those of you that don't know it, we have a website. The link is below in the program description as well. We talked about our Venmo, our PayPal locations here as well, where you can donate to our program. We talked about our post office box. Post office box 422, P.O. Box 422, Valdese, Valdese, North Carolina. Zip code is 28690. So you can send us support through there. I love getting cards and letters from all of you, telling us how you're doing and stuff, and sharing valuable information that I can share with everybody. I really appreciate that. I get messages from you guys on Messenger. I get messages from you over your telephones. I appreciate all of that. I get emails. Okay, I lost my other Gmail account. My Gmail account now is rltnspdema@gmail.com. I'm going to spell it out for you now. Robert Lincoln Tom, Nancy Sam Paul David, Emergency Management Associates, EMA, @gmail.com. We also have another one, my personal email that I gave out recently as a result of Gmail knocking me out, or the hacker knocking me out of Gmail before I reestablished another Gmail account. I gave you my personal email account is rltnspd@juno.com. Now, I realize that a lot of you don't know what Juno is. Back in the day, when the internet first started coming into being, the police department that I belonged to told us to get an email address off of either Juno or AOL or Gmail. At first, I opted to Juno because Gmail was too closely associated with the internet and with the government. And I despise the government, even though I work for the government. Okay? So I took to Juno and got my email. I still have a Juno account today. And in fact, they wanted to update their records. Last week they sent me an advisory that I needed to check in with them, which I did, and I got updated so they didn't cancel my account. So I'm a founder of the Juno email system. I still have one of those accounts. That's what's going on. Okay? So now I've got you in tune with where we're at so you can send us messages and information. I've told you about how you can support us here on our program. I don't want to seem like I'm begging, but quite honestly, we need the support to keep this channel on the air. I'm on Social Security now. My stupid government job has not yet given me my police retirement yet, and so I'm on a very fixed income. And with the cancer treatments that I've had. Now the doctors and hospitals are knocking my door down to get paid. And I have relied on you guys helping me take care of that. And they keep knocking my door down. But folks, I appreciate all that you do. Vicky K says she still has an AOL account. That's great. That's great. Sleeping Volcano says, did I get those right? Let me look. I want to make sure I saw everything. She says, make sure you hit the thumbs up, and I appreciate that too. Yes, please hit the thumbs up. I really appreciate that. Sleeping Volcano says, okay, shared in Messenger and Facebook. Thanks so much. Yes, I am back. I am back. Anyway, guys, I started in the beginning of the last part 1 of this program. We were talking about the banks and the bank disasters, banks closing. I don't believe that the closing is going to end. Okay, I think more and more banks are going to go belly up. I see it coming. It's a matter of time. And the government bailing them out, that's only going to last for a short time. Then what's going to happen? We're going to go into a recession and then into a depression. That's going to happen. It's going to put people out of their homes. It's going to put people out of work so they cannot pay their bills, and they're going to be out on the street. A lot of suffering is going to be had. If you're not prepared, you're going to be hurting. That's why we have been doing this preparedness program for 4 years. Prior to me doing it, there was maybe 1 or 2 other people that were talking specifics on preparedness items, and that's great. But there has been no one doing what we do here. There's been no one. Okay? The reason I came onto the air in the beginning was to make sure we were talking about earthquakes, because there had been a gentleman talking about earthquakes, and all of a sudden he came out of nowhere and said he was going to stop. He had a lot of reasons. I didn't believe many of the reasons, but since he was no longer going to be doing it, I thought this can't stop. Everybody needs to know about earthquakes and volcanoes. You have to. And then I figured in that we would be talking about all kinds of emergencies, all kinds of disasters, all kinds of possibilities. And with that, we also need to talk about emergency preparedness. That's why we're here. That's what we've been doing now for 4 years. That's what we've been doing for 4 years now. Okay? But I want to make sure that everyone understands what we're doing and why. It's very important. Now, before we got rudely cut off by whoever did it, we were talking about things that would disappear during a crisis or before a crisis. Okay, and I'm briefly going to go through this again. Okay, every time we have a disaster, every time we have a tornado, every time we have a huge storm, before the storm, things happen. Before hurricanes, people go to the stores and pick up supplies they're going to need for at least 3 days or several weeks. They know darn well the power will go out. So we have people buying candles and flashlights and batteries. Here, in my desk drawer, I have a supply of batteries, C's and D's and double A's and triple A's, in case something would happen. I've got a cadre of flashlights, not just my police flashlight here, not just the 4 Patriots flashlight that I've got here. I've got a cadre of flashlights here. There is at least 1 flashlight in every room of this house in case the power does go out at night, so we can see what's going on, so we can get through the night, so we can read if we want to, or eat something that we want to. out on my patio, I've got a barbecue grill. But the rules of the complex say that I cannot use that grill to cook with. Really? In an emergency, if we don't have power, I'm going to light up that barbecue whether they say I can or not. I'm not going to barbecue with it, but I'm going to cook things in pots of water or cook food on the barbecue, just as if I would a stove. That's what I'll do. I won't be barbecuing. I'll be using it to cook with, so there will not be flame going everywhere. Heaven forbid the place burns down because I cook with it. That's not going to happen. That's why they don't want people using their barbecues on patios and balconies. They're afraid of a fire. I'm not going to do that. I'm just giving you ideas on how you can survive before, during, and after an emergency happens. Whether you're a family, an individual person, or a business, everybody needs a plan on what you're going to do prior to the emergency or disaster, during the emergency or disaster, and after it takes place, so you can get through it and come out the other side of the disaster, possibly better than when you first were going into it, or at least you're surviving it. That's what's the importance of this channel. Preparing for and getting through a disaster and or an emergency. Yes, Kimberly, we did lose signal for a while, but we're back. Part 2 of this program. We appreciate each of you being here with us. Anyway, we want to make sure that people know what's going on. Before a disaster happens, people line up to get emergency supplies to get themselves through what is going on. Many times we see sold out signs on store shelves or just empty store shelves. I've got pictures upon pictures of empty store shelves in stores. I go purposely to the store a couple times a week, once or twice to Walmart and once or twice to a regular grocery store to see what's going on, whether they have new product in or whether they have empty shelves. And I'm seeing more and more empty shelves. The store managers or the department managers are saying that their shipments are delayed, or they don't know when they'll be restocking those items. That is a common occurrence at every store I've gone to. They don't know when they're going to be restocking items. This includes dog food, dog treats. Okay? I've even gone to specialty stores that have really cool dog treats. But guess what? Even the specialty stores can't get enough of the dog treats that I used to give my dogs. They had these little, narrow, short dog bones that were made out of yogurt that helped them clean their teeth and also was very good for their digestive system. Guess what? They can't get them anymore for whatever reason. I want to make sure that each and every one of us can get the things that we need to have for our families. Clearly, the time to stock up on these items is not when you need them, but well before you need them. If you are embracing a preparedness lifestyle, you already know this. You already know you need to plan ahead to protect your family. You certainly don't want to be one of those people wasting time and precious energy and going out at the last minute. Wasting precious resources, trying to find the survival items at the last minute. Whether it's a natural disaster, such as a hurricane or an earthquake, or a human-made emergency such as an act of war, and guess what? If you're not already aware of this, we are at war with China. We are at war with Russia. They may not be bombing us on our shores, but we're at war. Most essential items are going to disappear quickly from store shelves. We saw that during CV when we were locked down. Things disappeared, and they disappeared quickly. In many crisis situations, stores may not even be able to be open to the public. As you build your emergency pantry, your emergency store shelves in your home, your food storage, I'm going to give you a list now of 50 items that you should consider stocking up for now before it's too late. Folks, I need you to get a paper and pencil or a pen. Write it down. I'm going to post this video tonight after we're done, so you can revisit it, to be able to retrieve this information for you and your family. If you can write it down, that would be even better. That way you have access to this all the time. I've taken hours and hours, days and days, and months establishing these videos and these lists of things and items that you need to prepare for and reasons you need to prepare. Before, I used to give preparedness talks all over the country. I used to go to emergency preparedness fairs and speak to the people about preparedness and talk about any one specific item during the 2 or 3 days of the preparedness fairs. I used to be asked to go to various cities and travel to those cities to talk about preparedness. I first started giving talks in my parents' church where they lived about emergency preparedness. My aunt, my dad's brother's wife, wrote a cookbook on using wheat to not just bake bread with, but to cook with. We made a lot of wheat bread. I even had a great big mixer made by Bosch. A great big bowl, and then also a smaller bowl to make bread with. It also had a mixer, a blender. You could make all sorts of goodies, including shakes and everything else with. All sorts of good things. My aunt wrote a cookbook, a wheat cookery cookbook. It was great. One of my exes kept that as well. I no longer have that either. How I would give anything to have that back. It was a great cookbook. But anyway, I'm trying to give you these things so that you will be able to keep them, to help prepare you and your family and your household for emergencies, to bless you during an emergency. First off, aluminum foil. Aluminum foil is often an overlooked item, especially in a disaster supply kit that's useful for all kinds of cooking and food storage needs. It's got so many other survival uses as well. Make sure you get at least 1 or 2 boxes of aluminum foil. Okay? Number 2. Earlier tonight we talked about our pets and our animals. Please, please, in other programs I've also talked about your animals. Don't forget your kids. My 2 dogs are my children. I have raised my human children, and they're off on their own today. My doggies are my kids. They act like kids. Yeah, they do. They love like my children love me. They give unconditional love and support. I need to help them. Never forget your pets or your livestock. I also have a certification in animals and disasters. I've got a certification in animals and disasters. So I'm speaking to you from expertise, a subject matter expert when it comes to making sure you prepare for disasters for your animal, okay, your animal children, or any livestock, not just cows and chickens and hogs and horses, everything. Make sure you have food for your animals, and they need water as well. Earlier tonight we talked about water, bottled water and other things. Make sure your animals have water. I told you that I had gallon jugs of water for my doggy kids. And I also use that for cooking as well. I don't take anything into my body that is not purified. I do not use tap water to cook with. I don't use tap water to drink with. Yes, I understand that some companies take tap water and put them in water bottles. I've seen it happen. But I'm very careful about what water I drink. Okay, that's why I get bottled water today. I have at least 5 cases of water here in my house, of drinkable water. 5 months worth of water. Yeah, I've got it here. I always keep that up. I use one, I bring in another one. I put the new stuff on the bottom of the stack, and then everything on top of it. My gallon jugs, I've got 4 or 5 months of water for my dogs and to cook with. I also have water to wash and flush the toilets with. I've got like 100 gallons of water just for that. And I'm about to get a couple 50-gallon jugs out on my patio. So I have 100 gallons of water out there as well. I want to make sure that we advise you on how you can store your water as well. We've talked about this before on this channel and my channel before that. Okay? So now we have talked about food, we talked about our animal kids, we talked about other animals and water. The third thing is antibacterial soap and wipes. These will help you keep clean while saving your precious water supply. Okay? I buy a 3-pack of wipes. I always have at least 3 packages of wipes. I buy a 3-pack of wipes every time I even run low. I always keep a 3-pack of wipes. They run about $7 a piece for a 3-pack. I keep those handy as well. Antibacterial soap and wipes. Okay? 4, baby supplies. Baby supplies. Do you have or are you expecting a baby? Diapers, baby wipes, formula, maybe in a tight supply during a crisis. Cornstarch. Cornstarch, using it as baby powder. Cornstarch. It's better than having the other stuff, because the other stuff that they used to give out as baby powder causes cancer. Isn't that nice? We all used it, didn't we? Oh yeah. Yes, we did. Don Patogi just put up a chat saying homeless understand needs very well. Water, food, shelter, meds. Don't forget medicine. Security, communication, and cash. The other night we talked about security a couple weeks ago. We talked about communications a couple weeks ago. Keep those things alive. Every time we put emergency preparedness in the title of one of our programs, those programs you can use to refer back to get emergency information. Okay? Baking soda. This stuff is incredibly useful. You can use it for deodorizing, you can use it for cleaning, and you can use baking soda in your cooking. I keep at least 2 or 3 boxes of baking soda available. Okay? Now, let's talk about bandanas and handkerchiefs. I've got several bandanas here in my drawer. I've got a couple more in my emergency supply kits. Handkerchiefs, I've got about 16 of them. When one wears out, that's okay. I've got 11 more. When they wear out, I get new ones. I have 16 handkerchiefs. They can be used more than just for wiping your nose, or wiping your children's nose, or wiping sweat off your brow. All sorts of things can be useful to be used with the handkerchiefs. You can use them as a bandage, a pressure bandage. Okay? You can use gauze as well. The bandanas and the handkerchiefs can be used to keep you cool, and also to help breathe easier if the air quality is poor. So think about bandanas and handkerchiefs. They all have multiple uses. I talked about batteries a few minutes ago. I have D's, I have C's, I have AA's and AAA's here. For flashlights, headlamps, for my radios here, to keep my radios on, to keep them operational. Have a fresh supply of all sizes of batteries that you need. Rotate them out by their expiration dates. Yes, even batteries have expiration dates, guys. Bleach. Store the plain, non-scented bleach, the kind with 4 to 5% hypochlorite, for disinfecting items after a crisis. Unscented bleach. Don't buy scented bleach. That's another chemical you don't need. Okay? I don't need it, you don't need it. Okay? Vicky K says, I remember that if all people used were handkerchiefs to wash and reuse. Exactly. That's exactly what I do. Once a week I wash all my clothes, including handkerchiefs. Okay? Now, board games. Number 9 is board games. Why do I say board games? Coloring books, crayons, playing cards, puzzle books. Don't neglect the fact that you will have significant time on your hands during an emergency or disaster. Coloring books, crayons, playing cards, puzzle books. Plan to have a supply of no-tech amusement available for your family. I recommend board games, buckets and containers. Buckets and containers. I've got 5-gallon buckets here in my home. Wheat, rice, flour, sugar, those are staples. Oats, oatmeal, flour, sugar, rice, and other things that are dry, including you can use elbow macaroni. Buy more and more elbow macaroni and put it in a bucket container. Okay? I use unscented white trash bags in my buckets. I don't put everything directly into a bucket. When it comes to flour and sugar, I put bay leaves in several places around the bucket. That way the weevils won't get there. They'll stay out of my flour and my sugar and even my rice. Keep the bugs out, use bay leaves. Okay? You can also use nitrogen. You can use nitrogen. You can get your buckets, put nitrogen in the buckets prior to you sealing them up, and it will allow whatever you have in the bucket to stay fresh. Okay? Buckets and containers are very valuable. You want food grade buckets, not those that you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's unless they are purposely labeled as food grade. Okay? You want food grade buckets for collecting rainwater and to put other foods into. Okay? Large vessels. You can buy those great big huge blue 50-gallon barrels. When I first started storing water, there was a Coca-Cola beverage place that sold their 50-gallon Coke barrels that were white in color. Those white barrels used to contain Coca-Cola syrup. So guess what I did? I rinsed them out really good. I put some bleach in there and rinsed that out really good and poured it out. Then I stored water, and I've explained how I've done this in the past. I'm not going to go into how to make these ways to keep your barrels off the floor or off the ground, but I build a cradle just like this at 2x4s, and I put a 2x4 across the bottom of it so it wouldn't collapse under the weight of 50 gallons of water, and that's heavy. Okay, I build a cradle for the container. You can do that. You can also store water from rainwater coming off your roof. We've talked about that tonight too. Some places have made it illegal to do that, which is stupid, but you can filter out that rainwater, and I have friends that use it to drink with and everything else. They have a multi-filter system and a little pump that pumps their water out to their house. They live in Texas. They have like 1,000 gallons of water in great big huge 200-gallon containers on their property. I think they have like 800 or 1,000 gallons out at their house on their property. And they have a pump system. They have like a 3-filter system to filter out anything that comes from the atmosphere. Any bad chemicals and such. You can do that. Okay? You need to have water. Okay? You can use those buckets and things as large vessels suitable for washing dishes, bathing, and storing gray water. One of those 5-gallon buckets could be used as a toilet to use in an emergency. You put a great big black garbage bag in there. Okay? You can use kitty litter or sawdust to put in there after each person uses it. That keeps the stink level down. When those bags fill up, tie it up and make sure it goes in the trash. Okay? So nobody has to be exposed to toxicity from bodies. And it can be very toxic. Okay? 5-gallon buckets are particularly useful. If you use them for toilets, you can go to Home Depot or Lowe's or somebody else and buy one of those big buckets. And you can buy a plastic toilet seat and put that there as well. It's a great thing. A lot of people use it. Candles. Candles. Stock up on a supply of low-burning candles. They're easy to store. They have no expiration date. But that is a wonderful thing to have, an emergency candle. There's also plenty of videos on YouTube on how to make an emergency candle. I've got some that I have made. There's ways to do it. Okay? Cash. We've talked about keeping a supply of cash. I've already told you earlier tonight. When you have a supply of cash in your home, put it all in a 1-gallon Ziploc bag. Small bills, Nothing over a 20. I don't want to ever see a $20 bill in somebody's emergency supply kit. $10 at most. A few $10 bills is all you're going to need. And a bunch of 5s and a bunch of 1s. If you get spare change, yes, folks, I collect spare change, okay? On a daily basis, to protect my pockets, I've got one of these zip containers, cloth containers here. I picked this up at a, what was it? It was a community preparedness show, long time ago, back in Sandy, Utah, actually. Okay, I picked this up from, it was either T-Mobile or one of the cell phone companies. Yes, they were giving these away. This is a way to make sure you can keep your spare change without it tearing your pocket up. And when there gets to be too much, put it in that bag so you have a spare change to go with your emergency supply kit, as well as small bills, because ATMs are probably going to be shut down fairly soon as the bank crisis gets worse. The bank crisis that we talked about earlier tonight, that video is not going down. Okay? I'm going to keep that video up. I want people to know what's going on. That's why it's there. I'm going to retitle it, possibly, to talk about the banks and get into what we're talking about tonight. But this video here is going to be labeled as items that you need to have before, during, and after an emergency. Okay? Cash. If the grid goes down, your debit card or your charge card will be totally useless. And the banks may already be closed, as we discussed earlier. So have some money on hand at home to use during an emergency. Bartering, we talked about earlier. Bartering some of the supplies that you have, or bartering your services that you know how to do, will get you things that you need. Okay? Bartering for some of the items on this list that I'm giving you tonight is also an option for you. Okay? Now, I understand a lot of people don't know what a clothesline is. When I was a child, my dad built my mother a clothesline outside in our yard, in our backyard, so we could dry the clothes out in the breeze. And yes, those clothes smelled so good coming in off the clothesline. They smelled great. Yes, they were clean, but the sun also cleansed them, being outside. Now, clothespins and clothesline is something else that you're going to need. You can buy clothesline at Lowe's or Home Depot or Ace Hardware. You can get those. You can also buy clothespins. I'd highly recommend you have about 100 clothespins. You're going to need these items for intended purposes, but they also come in handy for use when building temporary shelters. Temporary shelters. Using paracord. You stretch paracord between two trees and throw a tarp over that to build a tent. You can use those clothespins to hold that tarp in place over the paracord so it doesn't come off. You can use tent stakes to keep that tarp on the ground. You also have another tarp to use as a floor in your tent. Okay? But clotheslines and clothespins come in handy for almost any kind of use. And again, paracord. We talked about paracord the other night, or just maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago at most. Okay? Number 14 out of 50. Cook stoves. You probably have one for camping, and that is good. I am glad if you have that. If you don't, you need to consider a cook stove. but you may want to purchase additional propane or kerosene powered for your cook stoves. Propane or kerosene that powers your cook stoves to use during extended crises or emergencies as well. Don't forget the fuel. Number 15. Most of us have 1 or 2 rolls of duct tape. I recommend a couple rolls of duct tape. Put 1 in your emergency supply kit and 1 to use around your house. Always have 1 in your supply kit and 1 to use around the house. If necessary during an emergency, grab the 1 from the house, put it in your supply kit. That way you have 2 rolls of duct tape. You can't have too many rolls of duct tape. Duct tape can be a lifesaver. You can use so many things to do with duct tape. Okay? You can even mend clothing. When I've gotten a long rip in my pants, I put duct tape inside and on the outside of the tear. It holds those pants together, and guess what? It doesn't wear out too easily, does it? Until at least you can mend them with needle and thread. Yes, I also have a sewing machine downstairs. I also learned a long time ago from my mother on how to sew things by hand, and I've done that on many occasions. Even my chihuahuas here, they have their toys. They tear up their toys and I sew them back together. So I'm going to tell you duct tape and also thread and needles. They come in handy for so many uses. Okay? I've used them, sewing thread and a needle, to sew my fingers up. Yes, a long time ago when I was a teenager, my parents left on vacation. They told us to call them in an emergency. Well, guess what? I was trimming the hedges to make my parents proud that the house looked so nice when they came back. And while I was trimming the shrubs, I cut my finger to the bone. I could actually see the bone on this finger right here. I've got a small scar here. A small scar. You can hardly see it anymore. But guess what? I washed it out really good. I was a good Boy Scout. I learned. Then we didn't have duct tape. But I learned as a Boy Scout. We had a gas stove there. You can use one of those fireplace matches that runs on butane. Put that needle through that flame and sterilize it. Okay, make sure your thread's already attached because it's going to be too hot to try to put a thread on it. Make sure you keep that thread away from the fire though. Sterilize that needle. When it cools off, then you can sew your finger up. I've done it. I've done it. So many uses for needles and thread. Now, if you don't want to do that, guess what? You can use this. What is this? This is super glue. Even doctors are using super glue now to close up wounds. Okay, you can use this. And super glue has a lot of different uses. Super glue. Something else you may need to have is extra basic clothing. Stock up on basic t-shirts, socks, underwear, in sizes to fit each member of your family. Sweatshirts and sweatpants are also good too. You can even sleep if necessary in your sweatpants and sweatshirts. Think about that to stay warm in. Okay? Think about that. First aid kits. Now I'm going to talk about first aid kits and what goes in the first aid kits. A lot of people disregard this stuff. These are basics. I'm not talking about an overly crazy first aid kit. I've got an EMT, an Emergency Medical Technician first aid kit, because I was in the EMT. Mine is going to be a little bit different than yours. Yes, I have sutures, I have suture knives, I've got different medical scissors and other things in mine. So you don't have to have those unless you absolutely want those. In your first aid kit, I'm going to give you a list of the following medical supplies to have. Number 1, pain relievers. 2, rubbing alcohol. 3, Neosporin, antibacterial ointment. Antibacterial ointment. Band-aids, bandages, and medical tape. Different size of band-aids and bandages. Okay, gauze, 2x2s and 4x4s, and even a couple rolls of gauze. Yes, they sell gauze in rolls. Safety pins. Safety pins will become essential for you. Disposable sterilized gloves. You can use rubber gloves or you can use latex. A lot of people are allergic to latex, so think about that before you buy those. But sterilized gloves are absolutely necessary. Gauze dressings, 2x2s, 4x4s, and even rolled gauze. Cold medicines. Cold medicines. Okay? There's all kinds of cold medicines. One of the things that I have here on my desk, it's in my emergency supply kit. I also have this stuff in the medicine cabinet in the bathroom. I've got some inside one of my nightstand drawers, and I've got it here on my desk. It's Vicks. You can use Vicks for a lot of things. You can put it on the bottom of your feet, and guess what? It will also help you when you're sick. You can put it on your chest or at the base of your neck when you're sick. It'll help you heal your throat. It'll help you breathing. Vicks is amazing to help you with. You can put it on your chest to help your lungs clear up. Yes, it helps clear up lungs. Okay? I love Vicks. Some of you may not like it, but I have Vicks. Okay? Safety pins, disposable gloves, gauze dressings, cold medicines, prescription medicines. Don't forget your prescription meds, whether it be something to keep your blood pressure down, anti-heart attack meds, anti-diarrheal meds, prescription, whether you have diabetes or whatever it is. Make sure you have your prescription meds. Okay? 18. Fishing equipment. Fishing equipment. Thanks to my buddy Captain Ned. Yes, I've said his name, and YouTube doesn't like Captain Ned, but I do. He's a dear friend of mine. He's a very dear friend of mine. Fishing equipment. He sent me fishing equipment for my birthday last year. I had some. He sent me more. He also sent me a hunting knife, a really awesome sharp hunting knife. Now I have 2 of them. Fishing poles, fishing line, hooks and lures will help put food on your table during and before and after an emergency. Flares and whistles. Flares and whistles. I even have a couple whistles in this drawer. I've got some whistles in my nightstand here. I've got whistles in my emergency supply kits. I've got whistles everywhere. I've given away whistles as gifts at Emergency Preparedness Fairs to get people to check out my booths. Emergency preparedness whistles. They're great. These items will help you attract attention of rescuers instead of having to yell. Yelling only hurts your vocal cords and also hurts you, so you won't be able to talk. Having a whistle is a great item, a great way of attracting attention. Flashlights. I talked earlier about flashlights. I've got my police light here. I've got my wonderful 4 Patriots flashlight here we've talked about before on this program. It's awesome. It does a lot of wonderful things for me. And it keeps me safe. Flashlights are great. Like I said, I have flashlights all over my house in case the power goes out. I've got headlamps. I've got one in my drawer. I've got several in my emergency supply kit. I've got one in one of my cold weather jackets. I've got another in one of my other jackets here downstairs in my clothes closet. Headlamps are great. I think I may even have a headlamp in my nightstand. Headlamps are great. Solar powered flashlights. Okay? This Halo XT solar powered flashlight. It's awesome. It also works as a LED work light here. Solar powered flashlights. Think about getting one of those. Okay? Fuel for your generator. If you have a fuel powered electric generator, make sure you have plenty of gasoline for that. Store your gasoline safely. Store it safely. Vehicle tools. I have tools here in my storage closet. I've got tools out in my car. Make sure you have a lug wrench. Make sure you have a crowbar. Make sure you have a spare tire. Make sure you have sockets and wrenches to do basic work on your car in case your car breaks down. Make sure you have jumper cables and a battery to jump it with. Whether you have to get somebody else to help you or you have a jumper system in your car that you carry, that you keep charged. Okay? Make sure you have all of those. These are things that are necessary. Fuel for your generator, vehicle tools, and a cook stove. That's an essential part of the emergency survival. Lighter fluid. I don't have lighter fluid, but I have plenty of those flashlight matches that work with butane. I have several of those. Fire starters. Fire starters are essential. I have lint from dryers in baggies that I keep to help start fires. They burn very quickly. If you put a little kindling around them, you'll have a nice fire very quickly. Make sure you have plenty of wood to burn after that. You build up different kinds of wood around the basic kindling as it burns. That way your fire will stay started. Okay? So fire starters, charcoal may also come in handy. Think about charcoal. Garbage bags. I talked to you about non-scented white garbage bags or trash bags that you can put in your food grade plastic 5-gallon containers to store your food in. But garbage bags, you can't really have too many of those. These are multi-purpose items. You can use them for storage. You can use them as makeshift tarps. You can use them as ponchos. And one of my friends did that. They live on a sailboat. They lost their ponchos for whatever reason, and they use these great big huge black trash bags as ponchos. There's so many reasons and ways you can use a garbage bag. So many things. Garden seeds. Collect garden seeds. As you grow vegetables, keep seeds from your own vegetables to grow vegetables the next season. Garden seeds. Growing your own food will become even more important during and after a crisis. Check your supply of garden tools as well. Gardening gloves as well. Leather gardening gloves. You can buy, or used to buy, I've already got them, but you used to buy a leather 3-pack of gardening gloves at Home Depot or Lowe's. A 3-pack of gardening gloves that are leather was very inexpensive. It's probably $7 or $8 now. But those leather gloves are just unreal. You can use them for so many things. Gasoline containers. Finding an open gas station will be sketchy in a crisis. I remember people trying to find gas before Hurricane Katrina hit. There were no gas stations available. People ran out of gas trying to evacuate New Orleans. Yeah, they did. New Orleans, Jefferson County, people ran out of gas on the highway because they didn't have enough gas in their cars to evacuate that area. Make sure your gas tanks are always full. Don't wait for a crisis to remember to fill your tank. It might be too late. Okay? If you do, you're going to want to have to bring gas with you for your vehicle. Okay? Make sure you have storage containers for gas. Storage containers that are made for gas. Don't just use an old milk jug. The gas will burn its way right through that plastic. It'll evaporate that plastic. Don't do it. A generator, whether it's gas powered or solar. Yes, there are solar generators. Okay? I have solar panels here that I'm able to charge storage batteries with. Depending on where you live and your budget, you can choose from a permanent generator, gas or solar, or a less expensive portable backup model. Also, make sure you have the necessary extension cords that you need. I've got a 100-foot cord, I've got a couple 50-foot cords, and I've got a couple 25-foot cords. Make sure you have the necessary extension cords for those generators to supply yourself with power. Hand-operated openers. All those cans that's in your food storage. All those cans that you have to be opened for whatever reason in your well-stocked pantry. They won't do you any good if they're electric. Make sure you have hand-operated can openers. Okay? Include hand-operated can openers in your emergency pantry in your emergency kits. I also buy soup and other vegetables and stuff that open by hand. They don't require a can opener. Always remember that. Also consider this. I have several insulated ice chests. Insulated ice chests. I also have a 5-gallon container that I can put water or juice in, or mix up Gatorade, or mix up Tang. I was going to mention Tang and I might as well say it. Tang is a great breakfast drink. Yes, it's got sugar in it, but if you're careful, you don't have to always drink that sugar. Drink limited amounts of it. It will give you energy. It will also help keep you dehydrated. Tang, Gatorade. If you're diabetic, limit your sources of Gatorade, because Gatorade will do nothing but up your sugar levels and you're going to be in trouble. Don't just use Gatorade. But these insulated ice chests are great for keeping food cold or food hot. That container I have for drinkable items, it's great. And it will keep things from freezing in the winter, as well as for keeping things warm or cool. Keep in mind that some of your essential medicines need to be kept cool as well. So think about that. Lamp oil, wicks, lanterns. I have a gas lantern. I've got wicks. I also keep several glass containers to use in my lantern because sometimes that glass breaks. It's very frail. But lamp oil, wicks, and lanterns. Speaking of fuel, those emergency lamps won't do you any good if you don't have lamp oil to operate them. Remember, we talked about a few Sundays back about the parable of the 10 virgins. Make sure your oil is lit. Make sure you have plenty of oil for the bridegroom. Make sure you have plenty of oil for emergencies. Okay? Okay? Make sure of it. Don Patoga says it is not good enough to just be right, you also need to be effective. He also said they have zero Gatorade. Okay? I can't get Gatorade. Okay? It drives my sugar level crazy. Okay? Matches and lighters. Look for the Strike Anywhere variety. The Strike Anywhere variety of matches and lighters. You can't have enough on hand. Yes, I have plastic containers containing matches in my emergency supply kit. Okay? Very important. Non-perishable food. Non-perishable food. I told you I have a 30-day supply of emergency food from 4 Patriots. It came in a plastic container, a tote. It's great. I also have a couple 72-hour kits in that tote as well. I have a 72-hour kit here in my office to show you. I love 4 Patriots food, and there's several other companies that do really well. I've talked about those too. Have non-perishable food. A well-stocked emergency food pantry should include rice, soup, beans and nuts. Put them in those 5-gallon containers as well. Oats, flour, dried meat. You can buy those number 10 cans of dried meat at Walmart and other supply places. Okay? And fruit. You can buy number 10 containers of dried fruit. You can also buy dried fruit almost anywhere. I love dried apricots. I can't get enough of them. I love dried cranberries. I love dried raisins and various other fruit. Those are great. You can also freeze dry your tomatoes and various other vegetables. Okay? Put those in those plastic baggies that I told you about. The gallon-sized plastic baggies with Ziplocs, those are great for storing food. You can also get your unit. I've got one in my bedroom here. I should put it downstairs in my closet with my emergency supplies, but I can take the air out of all my bagged fruit and other supplies to keep it fresh. If you have air in your bag, make sure you get it out. The more you get out, the better off your food is going to be, and the longer it's going to last. Okay? Also, include sweeteners such as honey and sugar. I've got other sweeteners that I use that don't have aspartame. Don't buy aspartame unless you have to. There are other things that you can use. Okay? Honey is good. A little bit of honey, even for me, is not going to hurt me as long as I watch it. Okay? But you can buy other sweeteners that are going to be more healthy for you to use than sugar. Sugar is bad. It's really, really bad. It tastes good, but it can be very harmful for you as well. Cooking oil. I buy my cooking oil in gallon jugs. It lasts me a long time. Cooking oil and basic condiments, such as salt and pepper and other spices. Make sure you have whatever you like, and plenty of it. I'm going to give you an emergency food storage list for all you newbies. Personal hygiene items, feminine supplies, skin and hair care products. All will be in short supply during an emergency or a disaster. Okay? Stock up on those needed items immediately. Pest control. Insects and rodents may be an increasing problem during certain disaster scenarios. Stock up on repellents and oils. Repellents and oils and traps. Okay? You can make things yourself to keep rodents and other pests and rodents and insects out of your area, out of your home, out of your camping area. Okay? A little bit earlier I talked about an emergency toilet. buying one of those 5-gallon plastic containers, putting a trash bag inside, draping it down the outside top of the barrel, okay, of the container, and buying a plastic toilet seat for about 10 or 12 bucks. You've got a portable emergency toilet. Having some cat litter or even some sawdust. You can go to a local place that cuts wood. You can go to a construction site, and I will bet if you ask that you can have all the sawdust that you can possibly get. It's great for using it to cover feces and other things that you put in that emergency toilet. It keeps those fresh, keeps it from stinking. Okay? Then when it's full, you can tie up that trash bag and toss it out into the garbage. Don't just leave it on the ground. That creates other problems. You don't want to do that. With a power outage and a water shortage, you may not be able to rely on your standard home toilet. A portable or a pit toilet will make waste management possible. Okay? We taught you now how to build one. Propane. Propane. I've got a gas grill outside. I've got plenty of propane to power that gas grill and to power it during an emergency situation. Propane cylinders are going to fly off shelves during or before an emergency. Stock up on what you need now. I'd recommend at least 2 propane containers if you have a gas grill. That way you'll always be able to cook and heat up your food. Okay? Like I said, those basic camp stoves are an essential thing. If you have a camp stove, make sure you have plenty of fuel for that. Okay? If you decide you're going to build a fire, make sure you have the things that you need to build a fire, including dry wood. There's other portable grills that you can get from 4 Patriots, or you can build your own. Okay? All you have to have is a great big huge Folgers coffee can. I've used those in the past. I don't drink coffee, but I have friends of mine that do. And they've saved those coffee cans for me. I've also had little cans that vegetables come in, and I built a small fire in those. Those are great. Those are really great. And they heat up great. And they do great for cooking pots or heating pots of food or water. Think about that. Okay? Radios. We talked about communications in the past just a couple weeks ago. I showed you all the radios that I have. Ham radios, police and fire and medical and aircraft scanners. Okay? I've got GMRS, General Mobile Radio Service radios. I've got handheld radios. I've got AM, FM weather radios. I've got the batteries to power everything here. I always keep them charged. I always have a way of making sure all of those radios are charged. With no internet and no TV, how will you get news and weather information that you need? Have a radio that does not necessarily have to rely on being plugged in. Have the batteries for your emergency radio as well. I also showed you that I've got a hand crank emergency AM FM weather radio as well. It's going to be an invaluable piece of emergency equipment for you. We talked about ponchos, rain gear, getting some of those black trash bags and turning them into a poncho. Weatherproof, waterproof boots and clothing. Plastic sheeting are some of the supplies that you're going to help you to withstand rain and flooding. Seasoned firewood. Have a supply of dry wood for burning, for warmth, and for cooking. Sleeping bags. I briefly touched on this earlier. Sleeping bags and extra blankets. I've got a Mexican blanket here, but I've got many other blankets here. Blankets are going to be an essential thing that you can use with and inside a sleeping bag to keep you warm. I've got several sleeping bags here to use in case I have someone with me during an emergency. They're also good to keep you warm inside of a car. A solar charger. A solar charger, guys. Besides having solar panels, I have a solar charger here. Every few days I put it in my window. Every few days I put this in my window. There's a reason. I keep this thing charged. I've used it during an emergency. When I've been out at a disaster drill, I put it on the outside of my backpack and keep it charged when I'm outside. When I'm inside a building, I make sure that I have an office with a window that I keep this thing charged. This thing can charge 2 phones at the same time. It can charge 2 phones at the same time. Right here, my phone, I can also charge a second phone right here. I can also charge my Bluetooth right here. I can also plug in something else here that I might need. This charger is great. This is from 4 Patriots. You can buy 2 of these for about $35. These are awesome. These are really awesome. It also has a light, an emergency light on the back of it. You can't do without these. These are great. These are really great, okay? Please consider something like this. A solar charger. If your emergency is local or regional, you'll be able to keep your devices, your telephone and other devices charged without the outside world with your solar power, okay? You'll be able to connect with the world, making sure your devices are charged, okay? Tarps. We talked about tarps earlier. I've got 5 or 6 tarps here. And I think I've got 4 totes, 4 or 5 totes, okay? Tarps are inexpensive. You can buy a tarp for $1 or $2, and they're easy to store. They store flat. They don't take up much room, and they'll serve many uses during and after a disaster scenario. There are all sorts of uses for tarps. Now, I talked about TP before, toilet paper. Toilet paper is a very personal item, but toilet paper deserves a line of its own when it comes to emergencies. Don't be caught short of toilet paper. It's an often forgotten item during an everyday life. Okay? It's an everyday necessity. There are a lot of different reasons and alternatives for toilet paper as well. Think about toilet paper. I've got about a 6-month supply of toilet paper here. Think about it. No, I don't go hoarding toilet paper, but I've got enough for me. Okay? I go to Sam's Club or Costco and get my toilet paper in a large supply. And it lasts me for a while. And before I run out, I get some more. Don't run out. Earlier we talked about tools to keep your car running. Have a basic supply of tools in your house. Keep those tools clean and in good repair. If you use them and they get dirty or oily or greasy, wipe them off. Have some shop tools and wipe them off and keep them clean. You want to pay special attention to the following items. Saws. Saws. I have several different kinds of saws. Okay? Several kinds of saws. Axes, hatchets. I've got drills, a hand crank drill, and I've also got 2 power drills. Okay? Screwdrivers and screws. I have a supply of screws as well, different sizes for different things. Okay? Hammers and nails. I've got like 3 different hammers. I've got several different kinds of rakes. I've got several different kinds of shovels, including a square nose shovel. Square nose shovels are great to dig with, and they're great for leveling areas that you're going to sleep on. I've also got a regular scoop shovel. They're great. Rope. Rope. I have several different kinds of rope. I've got two 50-foot lengths of heavy-duty rope that's about 1 inch in diameter. I've got like 1,700, 1,800 feet of paracord. Parachute cord. It's called paracord. You can get it in 50-foot rolls for about $2 or $3. That's not bad. Rope, twine, and wire. You can buy wire at Ace Hardware, at Lowe's, at Home Depot. And I'm talking about wire to cinch things with. Wire. I think it's like 16 or 18 gauge wire. It's great. You can use that for a whole lot of different things. Number 43 on my list, vinegar. This is an all-natural way to clean your home with when you're out of cleaning supplies. It's an all-natural way to clean your home with. There's all sorts of uses for vinegar. Let me tell you about one of them. I use vinegar when I start feeling a sore throat. Okay? I get a glass of hot water. I pour about a teaspoon of vinegar in it and I gargle with it. I've also drank it. I put a tiny bit of honey with it and mix it up and drink it. It's great. Okay? You can never have enough vinegar. I've got two good sized bottles of vinegar. Think about that. Water. We talked about water earlier. Don't run out of water. We can only survive about 3 days without it. You can stock up a bottle of water, like I said, as I have. However, for long-lasting emergencies, you're going to need a water purification method, such as water purification tablets, or an aquifer water purifier, or any kind of reverse osmosis water purifier. Personal water filters, life straws, or a gravity-powered filtration system. Okay, I showed you the other day one of the things that I have. I've got a water container here. Again, you can buy this from 4 Patriots. I've seen them in Walmart as well. You fill this with water. You have a water purification system right here. You stick it into your water, you close the container, and guess what? You open it, and you've got a straw here that you're going to be able to get pure water out of so you can survive. Think about one of these. They're about $7 or $8. Okay? Think about that. Okay? 45. I don't have mine here because I don't want to show it on camera. YouTube doesn't like that. Okay? It's one of these things. Okay? Make sure you have some kind of way to protect yourself. Weapons and ammunition. Be sure you're well stocked up on supplies. Nugs. Nugs and seeds for nugs. Okay? Well stocked up on supplies for self-defense and for hunting. Okay? We talked about using flashlights to protect yourself. Do not ever, never, ever tell a cop that this is used for self-protection. I've used it for pushing people away from me. Do not ever hit anyone in the chest. Use the stomach. Push them with your stomach, with their stomach. Okay? Never break an arm with a flashlight. You can hit them in the fleshy part of their arm. You can hit them here in the fleshy part of their arm. You don't hit them, you strike them. You strike them. You strike them in the fleshy part of their arm or in the fleshy part of their leg, and it will take them down. You strike them with enough power with this or a nightstick. Be sure you're a cop or a retired cop before you consider using a nightstick. And some places, even retired police officers cannot even possess a nightstick. Check your local laws. A baseball bat can be used to protect yourself, but Make sure that you clearly, if anybody ever finds out that you use the bat, make sure you can clearly define that you use it to protect yourself. If you can't, you better not use it for that. You have to be able to clearly articulate exactly why you used it to protect yourself, because you're going to hurt somebody badly with a bat or any kind of a stick. Excuse me, let me get a drink of water. You have to clearly define why you use something to protect yourself. We talked about pepper spray. Do not use bear spray. Do not use insect repellent. Do not do it. You will go to jail. You will cause medical issues for some person if you spray them in the face with that. Don't do it. Use only those things that are legal. Pepper spray or CN or CS gas. Use only those things that are legal to protect yourself with. Winter clothing or clothing that is seasonal. Since disasters can strike at any time of the year, right now in a lot of places it's still the dead of winter. You need to have good winter clothing. You need to have clothing for every season. Sweaters, jackets of all kinds. Hats. Okay? I have knit caps I can pull down over my ears if necessary when it's too cold. I also have other caps, baseball caps, and I've got cowboy hats. I've got several different kinds of hats. Make sure you can protect yourself with a hat. I've got cowboy hats. I've got a hiking hat that's got a wide brim to protect my neck and my face from the sun. Think about that. Clothing. Disasters can strike at any time. It's a good idea to put aside warm hats, gloves, and scarves for emergencies. Wringers, washboards, buckets. You need these for washing clothes. One of those 5-gallon buckets and a little bit of laundry detergent and towels. You'll be able to wash clothes with, wash dishes with. You don't have to waste valuable fuel on powering your washer. Okay? Writing paper, pens, pencils. If you're used to using a keyboard, you're going to want to have old school methods of making lists and notes and writing down reminders for yourself or others. You may also find journaling to be both useful and comforting during a crisis. Folks, over here in my library, I have been journaling for a lot of years. I had quite a few journals, but again, some people helped me get rid of those. Unfortunately, I didn't want to get rid of them, but they disappeared, if you know what I mean. Journaling is a great thing. I keep a journal of every day I go on the air and what I talk about and what happened during that program. Journaling is an awesome thing to do. Whatever you do, you can keep a journal about. When I've been teaching my Sunday school classes, I've asked people to record their feelings in a journal, their impressions in a journal, things that they thought were important, scriptures and stuff. Always write those things down so you can go back to those. Those are great. Okay? They're comforting even during a crisis. Zip ties. I have about 50 or 60 zip ties here in the house. I've got probably 100 zip ties, different size zip ties in my preparedness kit over here. Zip ties are, one, inexpensive. You can stock up on them. It's not going to hurt you, but they're very useful in a crisis as well. Okay, Ziploc bags. We talked briefly about that. Stock up on those Ziploc bags, the gallon bags and also the sandwich bags to keep food and medicine, other items safe and dry. Those large Ziploc bags, those gallon bags, can be used for maps, to put important insurance paperwork, to keep your medical paperwork safe and dry. Those bags are awesome. Stock up on different sizes of Ziploc bags. Okay, that was the last item that I had to talk to you about. Does anybody else have any questions about anything we talked about? Does anybody have any questions? Linda Covington is here in the chat, and she said form a local survivors community. The more people you have with you, people that know you, not just know of you, but know you, people of a like mindset, they will help you. Get people that aren't afraid to work. If someone is with you and they just don't want to lift a hand, they're going to be a hindrance on you. Make sure that you have people with you that are of a like mind, that you talk to about emergency preparedness or they talk to you. Okay? Having a local survivors group is going to be essential. Some of the people here that were in the last channel we have people from all over the country and around the world. Those people will also help you prepare and stay prepared, and they will also you helping them stay prepared. And when something happens and you're local with each other, you can help each other survive whatever is happening. That's going to become essential very soon. You're going to find that happen with our present political situation and the bank crises and everything else that's going on. It doesn't matter whether you're in the United States or not. These things apply to wherever you're at. We have EMA family members in Australia. We have them in Indonesia, in Japan, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, the Solomon Islands. We have them in Vanuatu. We have them in Tonga. We have people in Samoa, or New Zealand. Kiwi Lass, my friend Gina Colvin in New Zealand, and many others that have been here on this channel. We have people from South America all over. Chile and Argentina, Peru, Brazil, Bolivia, Colombia. People in Central America, Nicaragua, Costa Rica. We have several in Costa Rica. We have people in had something in my eye. My friend Larry Smith lives over there in Central America. We have people in southern Mexico. We have people all over Mexico, Canada, North America, all over. We have people in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Finland. We have several dear friends in England, even Catman, my dear friend Catman. He sent me letters, and I appreciate that. He's also sent me emails. Catman, you're awesome. I really care about what you are and what you do. Catman is a dear friend of many of us, but he's not the only one. We have people from Ireland and Scotland and Wales. We have people from Romania, Italy. We have people from the Czech Republic, Croatia. I think we've even had contact with people from Ukraine here in the chat. We have people from all over Europe, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys, wherever you might be in this world. We love you and care about you, and that's why we try to pass this information on. We love you and care about you. Please don't forget that. That's why we put out this information. We want to make sure everybody has the information they need to survive whatever happens. Okay? That's why I shared this information with you. Please make sure you write it down. Yes, you have this video here on our YouTube channel to refer back to. I did that purposely. Make sure you keep this handy for you. Share it with your friends, your neighbors, your loved ones, your family, extended family, and close family. the people you socialize with on social media, the people you go out with and party with, the people you work with. Share it with everybody. The more people we get here, the better off we all are, because we help each other and educate each other. That's what this channel is all about. Invite everybody here. If you find somebody that was in our last channel that's not here now, invite them in here again. Pass the word. Pass the word. Help everybody, guys. It's to everybody's advantage to help each other. Things are about to get very bad. I'm promising you that's going to happen. Stay safe out there. Do whatever you can to stay safe. We've talked about that pretty much all night. Now, guys, I'm going to get out of here, but there's one other thing that I want to talk about. Okay, again, I found this in my social media today, and I wanted to share this with you because I felt it was important. And again, wouldn't you know, I have to go hunting for it, but I will. I'll find it here. Just give me a second. Go figure when I need it. I have to go hunting for it again because I lost everything here, but I've got it back. Okay, I've got it back. Such a good thing too. Anyway, guys, one, I want to say happy St. Patty's Day. For a lot of people, it's a time, just an excuse to go out drinking and partying. I don't think of it as that. I think about it as someplace that I have somebody in common with. Somebody from that area. Ireland. Good old Ireland. Okay? I know a lot of people in Ireland. I have relatives from Ireland. Most of mine come from Scandinavia, in Sweden and Norway. But yes, I have a lot of family in Ireland as well. Happy St. Patty's Day to everybody. Okay? But that's not all. That's not all. Okay? There's something else that I want to talk to you about. Okay, this ain't working. Okay, now it is. Okay, where did it go that I wanted to share it with you? Also, I didn't tell you, somebody asked me about it in one of the emergency threads on Messenger about earthquakes over in New Zealand. Let me show you this really quickly, okay? Yes, there were earthquakes in New Zealand today. Somebody mentioned a 5.2. Guess what? New Zealand did not have a 5.2. The most they had was a bunch of 3s. They have a swarm of 3.0 magnitude earthquakes right here, okay? This is north. I believe this is north of a volcano there. Okay, we've talked about this volcano so much, but that's not where the swarm is. This time, this is a regular earthquake swarm. And whenever we've seen swarms, we've seen a major earthquake happen, or large or major earthquake happen. So this place may get hit very soon. It could be this weekend. That's one of the reasons I'm talking about it. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Major earthquake can happen at any time. Okay, there have been other earthquakes that have hit as well. But that's not the only thing I wanted to talk to you about. Where did it go? Where did it go? You're kidding me. I can't find out what I was going to show you. I thought I had saved it here. But that's all right. Let me bring up a scripture that I wanted to share with you anyway. This comes from the 27th chapter of Matthew. Okay? Yes, this has to do with the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Starting in Matthew 27, verse 35. And they crucified him, and parted his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They parted his garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And sitting down they watched him there, and set up over his head his accusation written, This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Then there were two thieves crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, and saying, Thou that destroyed the temple, and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself. If thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. Likewise, also the chief priests, mocking him, with the scribes and the elders, said, He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now, if he will have him. And he said, I am the Son of God. The thieves also which were crucified with him cast the same in his teeth. And now from the 6th hour there was darkness all over the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani? That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Let me tell you this. Our Father in heaven did not forsake his Son. Imagine you, if your child was on a cross and being killed and reviled. Imagine the grief that you would feel for that child. Imagine the Heavenly Father, knowing full well that this was part of the plan, knowing what his Son would go through. Remember in the Garden of Gethsemane how Christ prayed and asked, if it be thy will, take this from me. It was part of the plan that Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ had from the beginning. It was part of the plan. Christ knew that. But when he felt his Father turn around, this is how I envision it. Our Heavenly Father, Jesus Christ's own Father in heaven, did not turn back and walk away. He might have turned around so his Son, Jesus Christ, could fulfill the plan that had been set forth from the beginning. Heavenly Father did not forsake his Son, Jesus Christ. Neither should we. Let us remember this as we go into the time of Easter, the time of remembrance, the time of spring, the time when things grow, the things that come back to life. Jesus Christ was also resurrected 3 days later. Let's remember that. There is a plan for each one of us. Just like there was a plan for Jesus Christ. Each one of us was put here on earth for a plan. I know that's for a fact. I have a testimony of that fact. Each one of us has a mission here on earth. I ask you today to remember the things that you have in your mind, the things that you've learned in your life, part of the plan. Make sure you complete your mission that you are sent here to do. That's the most important part. We may not know possibly what that mission was, but I know what my mission is, and each of us can find out what the plan was for you. Now may God bless you. May God protect you and lift you up. May He hold you in His hands and love you. And just that footprints in the sand says, when life gets rough and we can't go any further, Christ will pick us up and carry us the rest of the way. I have a testimony that the Savior lives. This is His gospel. I testify to you in the name of Jesus Christ, the Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. God bless you. God be with you this day and always. That's my prayer. I hope you have a great weekend. We will be back on the air this coming Sunday at 12 noon Eastern Time. For come follow me, the Savior said. We'll be again using Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and possibly other scriptures. We have a great lesson planned for you. I hope you can join us for that wonderful Sunday school here on this channel Sunday morning at 12 noon. Until then, God be with you. May God bless you always. Have a great weekend. Have a great night. We will see you around the corner. Good night, everybody. Thank you for being here.